What's going on, everybody? It's Vernon here, and let's make sure I am coming through loud and clear. Perfect. So, what's going on, everybody? It's Vernon here, and as promised, I wanted to, give you the best possible footing to keep moving yourself forward. The tips that we're going to be talking about today apply to almost every aspect or kind of focus in your life. This is going to be your health, this is going to be your finances, your friendships, your romantic life. All of these things can apply to those. So kind of approach this with an open mind and not exclusively on the way that you might be thinking, but listen to these things. These aren't just made up. These aren't just fun fundamentals. This is coming from with me for the last 10 years. Um, 5, 6, 10,000 people to talk to, and it's taking that data, taking that information, and recognizing these are the big seven. These are the seven things that keep you up at night. These are the seven things that will stop you from growing. And I don't mean to just jump right into this, but that's what you came here to see. So let's dive into these momentum killers. But to give you some understanding and context, momentum is everything. It's, you could, luck is cool and, good fortune and these opportunities are cool. But when you get those, it's what you are doing that to keep and push that luck, those happenstance situations to the max. It could be you getting that one phone call. It's like, oh my gosh, oh, I'm so excited. What are you doing with the momentum? Are you buying, a new suit for your interview? Are you reaching out to find people who can help you, prepare for the interview? How are you maximizing the effort that when you get those good luck things? And it's about momentum. And so what we're talking about today, these are the momentum killers. These are the things that will typically stand in the way of you hitting that wall. And quite honestly, if it's in one area of your life, more than likely it's in other areas. I'm not trying to go out there and condemn every aspect of your life. But what I'm saying is, if you tend to reach for things with your right hand, more than likely, you've been doing it with the right hand for other things. You reach for doorknobs with the right hand, oh my gosh, you might be putting your hat on with your right hand. Your right hand dominant. Just be aware of these things so you can start saying, hey, maybe I need to do things a little bit differently. And we're going to be talking about how to navigate those as well. But let's dive right into this. All right, so these are momentum killers. And I was just kind of talking about this a second ago. When I talk about momentum killers, this came, I'm a coach and an awesome team for Goldmine. And this is when we were in Vegas live, had a great time. This was, a few weeks ago. Great people. But what is amazing about this picture, it's not only these amazing people here and us having so much energy, but it was like going to a sporting event, right? And just like literally being there, just seeing the energy, seeing people do things. But I also noticed, since it was like a sporting event, that it seemed like some people weren't necessarily pretending, imagining, seeing themselves playing the game. Some of those people were seeing themselves as almost being in the stands. And and there's nothing wrong with that. But for people who are stuck and people who are watching this, you understand that you don't want to be in the stands, right? You don't want to be a viewer. You want to be a participant. But sometimes we get these things in our head that just kill us, stop us from moving forward, from actually giving ourselves what I call hero moments in your life. And a lot of different things have happened since then, right? And it's like I see these hero moments that people aren't having, and I'm thinking, and it's literally everything that I'm talking about right now, because these are the type of things that people get stuck with. It's not about pathologizing people. It's just that people get stuck on these things. But we're about to tackle these right now. I'm going to identify it and give some examples just so you can see how this shows up. And quite honestly, it might sound like you. So it's kind of like stepping off, and this is the first one. It's like stepping off of a cliff. Like, does that look smart? I mean, we don't know how far away is that. Is that, a foot off the ground, 10 feet off the ground? You don't know. Just imagine you doing this, right? Like, even watching this picture, looking at this picture, don't you feel kind of like this hesitation? And it's taking a step without looking, taking a step recognizing that you don't know what the outcome is going to be. You just are taking steps. And that's what happens, to lots of us. And, taking it back, just a little bit before my time, but we're looking at Looney Tunes. And here's Wile E. Coyote, and he's only chasing a roadrunner. And you're like, oh my gosh, he didn't take that step. If he had only taken a second to look out, Wile E. Coyote could have completely forgotten, obliterated the thought of him falling off, which is like a big shtick here. But he doesn't have to do that because if he had taken a few steps, he didn't have to have that outcome. He didn't. And that's when the first thing that gets and kills people's momentum is you don't have a vision. You must have a vision. I cannot stress this enough. If one of the first things ever I do, I don't care, but if I was working with people more personal and personalized in their business, if you don't have a vision of what you want your house to look like, your life to look like, your business to look like, I'm telling you, it's like stepping off of a cliff. Maybe not visually, but the experience of it for that before you is, oh my gosh, everything becomes a risk because you don't know what the next steps are going to be, right? And when you don't have a vision, you're not quite sure what to do. Think about it. It's like, a big metaphor example I'm using is if you are going and say, I'm hungry, right? I'm hungry in life. I'm so hungry. But let's say you're hungry in life and you want real food, right? And you say, oh my gosh, you go to a grocery store. When you go to Walmart or whatever store you go to, doesn't everything look like a big flipping opportunity? Right? It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. That's why I don't go to certain stores hungry. Why? Because you would just do things, buy things, roam down aisles. And that's what it's like oftentimes in your life and in your business when you're not looking for the vision to hold on to that's guiding you. What a vision does, it's like having a shopping list for you that you can go into that store and say, as big as the store is, as vast as the opportunities are, I'm making tacos. Let me go and get tacos. Let me go get the ground beef if you're using ground beef and the season and taco shells and all the other things. We love taco night here. Can you tell that I'm hungry? But we love all these things. But when I know that you're making tacos, when you know that you're making spaghetti, you look at things differently. And I think a big thing here with vision and why it really, another slippery slope here is if you're making spaghetti, you're not worried about the ingredients that goes in someone else's tacos or nachos, right? You don't. Because when you have a vision, you're not buying into these things that some people might say this is a great opportunity. It's not for you. That's not what you're fixing in your life. So make sure you're taking the time, and I'm gonna be talking about some different solutions we can handle these, handle having a vision. But make sure you're taking the time to have a vision, to develop a vision. You don't need to know every single step, but you at least need to have an idea where you're going, right? I mean, you don't jump in your car and just say, hey, in the middle of the night and cut your lights off and just drive. Do you know? It'd be foolish. Well, make sure you're not doing it in your life. It only takes a second for you to sit back. Well, when I say a second, it doesn't take much time as you might think for you to sit back and say, what do I really want in life? When's the last time you asked yourself that? What do I want? What do I need? When you get really clear about those questions, you tend to start developing more of a vision. So make sure you have a vision. I hope people on the back are hearing me. Because without having a vision, it's going to be like when you go to a performance, when you go to like the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus here. It's like the spinning plates. Or you go to any circus or fair, you're spinning plates. And you're just going to be running, 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 running. And as we start talking about vision, I'm going to lean into it and start talking about the second momentum killer. But as you're out there spinning plates in life, you got to sit back and say, what was my original reason for even spinning these plates? Like, why would you do that? You've got to start with your purpose next. What is the purpose of your actions? Do you need to be spinning plates? When you are starting with purpose, the intent behind your action, it changes the way that you move, right? And when it happens, sometimes, and I've seen this with a lot of smart, capable people, this isn't an intellect thing. And this isn't a pick on anybody, but it's something that can happen if you're not paying attention. When you're just focused on making movement, and one of the things that I'm really good at spotting and saving people a lot of time and making a lot more money is they are so busy not trying to move. Oftentimes, your considerations for, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that, you really don't need to do those things. That's something you might have told yourself. That's something that you might have had to do for a period of time at one point, but that might not be what you need to do at this very moment anymore. And so this is good news for a lot of people. Because when you start looking at the intent behind movement, aka the purpose of the action that you're taking, all of a sudden you can move so much smoother. Because see, a lot of people, might have a vision, but the vision they might be having isn't necessarily a good one. And let me explain why. Because a lot of people are playing to participate. Some people are just playing to participate with their intentions and actions, intentions of their actions. And I want to say that again one more time. Participating and not playing to win. There's a big difference. One puts a scoreboard, put points on the scoreboard. The other one is just there. People might not even be in the stand, but guess what? I got a jersey, and you're not a jersey person. You have the jersey, but you want the trophy. Why? Because you're playing to win. So make sure you are starting off with actions that make sense in alignment with your vision. Hope I'm making sense. Moving on to number 3, the law of diminishing returns. Anybody is familiar. I mean, anybody who's familiar with a lot of financial education, who spent a little bit of time watching like the Wolf of Wall Street, right? It's the law of diminishing returns. What does that mean? Every time you go back to that, you're going to get a lesser and lesser and lesser output. It's not going to be as effective. I use this in a different way when it comes to our actions. For many momentum killers is you need to start recognizing that what you're doing ain't working the way it used to work anymore. Change. You need to change your tactics. It's about finding a strategy that works. Oftentimes when people are out there and they're doing these things, they're having some luck. And all it needs to be in many cases, I got something. I got something. No, you don't want that. You want to make sure that you're having a diverse strategy in many cases. If you notice some things aren't working, start changing things up. It's diminishing returns on this. If it's not working, guess what? If one time, it might work the next time. It might, but it might not. Just know what season you're in of your plan. And another way of this might show, this tends to show up, law of diminishing returns, is recognizing the season that you're in. Because there's times where you need to learn more than you need to execute. But that diminishing return is if you're learning more and you're doing less, then we need to change some things. And when I say doing less, I mean you're not making the progress that you want. Because sometimes you can be doing things and nothing's going to happen, but you're gaining something, right? But then also it kind of goes back to, executing versus learning. Are you making sure that you're making every action count? Are you actually executing? I know some people that I've talked with them, and this is many people, especially some people who tend to get stuck, is they're stuck in learn mode. Yeah, but where's execute mode at? And if you're executing, are you executing with intent to win? Law of diminishing returns is very real, and it exists in many aspects of your life, and I'm telling you some different ways it can show up right here. Number 4, and this is a really cool one. It's understanding compound interest. Compound interest. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure why we have not figured this one out. Compound interest is what grew all of our relationships, right? Compound interest is your parents taking care of you every day, giving you a little bit of love, until it grew to this beautiful thing where you can't even see yourself without your parents. That's how compound interest shows up in your life. It's about valuing relationships. We tend to put so much compound interest understanding and investments accounts and stocks and things and many portfolio types. But what about with relationships? How are you investing your time into people? Look, I get it. You might have a problem. You might have a situation. Maybe it's so unique that nobody, a very small percentage of people have ever seen it. Maybe. And I get maybe you just want to isolate yourself, but I'm telling you this. What will kill your momentum many times is not having outside counsel. Is not having people that you can talk to about things. Relationships are about growth. And if there's no better relationship than I've ever been, a relationship, kind of guided principle is compound interest. Your best friend and you did not start becoming best friends because y'all immediately found out that you both like pickles, right? Or you like 80s cartoon theme songs. You can recite them like that. No. And maybe that might have happened, but it's over time, back and forth. And it compounded into what you might have a brotherhood or a sisterhood or whateverhood, right? Because it was that give and take. Do not isolate yourself. Talk with people. It's a beautiful, beautiful principle. Talk to people. People can show you shortcuts on things that you struggle with. You can show people things on shortcuts you struggle with that they might struggle with. Sorry, I said that the wrong way. But recognize that isolation is the enemy. And I've seen people do this. I always tell people in my coaching programs, don't be the lone wolf. Lone wolf syndrome, LWS, will keep you stuck, will kill your momentum, and quite honestly, it will stop you from losing weight because compound interest. If you're hanging around people who are negative, who don't make great food choices, who don't make sure they're taking the best care of themselves, and if you're hanging around them often, what do you think your food choices are going to be? It will eventually be your food choices. So be very careful and look alive. And recognize that even though isolation is the enemy, make sure that you're aware of who you are spending time with. Make sure of that. Because you better believe that you're going to pick up on those things. Compound interest works against you as well if you're hanging out with people who have certain behaviors or habits that you don't want. Which leads right into, honestly, one. This is a big one about what you're saying about yourself. It matters to yourself and about yourself. Look, guys, I'm not telling you to go out here and believe and clap your hands and stomp your feet and you can walk on handstands because you're positive. I'm not that. I'm not going to be that guy. I've never been that guy. I've always been a guy like, let's look at this from an honest perspective. That's been me. That's the position on happiness, right? It's about looking at it from a more energizing perspective. It's not about saying what's not there, but it's about recognizing I need to look at this a little differently. And it's the same way that you have to do with yourself. You have to, you must. Because what you're saying, this matters. If anybody's familiar with this face up here, this guy is Bill Buckner. Played for the Red Sox and a few other teams back in the late 70s, early 80s. Bill was a G. Bill was a rock star. Bill passed not too long ago, several years ago, unfortunately. But Bill was a G, Golden Glove winner, but he's not famous and didn't go down in history for that. And there's no better example of what you say about yourself and to yourself matters than I can honestly think of. I mean, there's many, many different examples, but this one just blew me away, right? But Bill Buckner, 11 days for the World Series. Again, he was a G. He was on a Beast team. 11 days for the series. Bill Buckner was quoted to say this. He was talking with a reporter. He said, the dreams that are you're going to have a great series and win. The nightmares are that you're going to let the winning run score on a ground ball through your legs. Those things happen, you know. I think a lot of it is just fate. He said this. He talked about the dreams. He talked about the nightmares. And in itself, it's, you know, you might say, okay, you know, that's fair, right? That's fair to say. So here we are. We're in the top of the 10th inning in the 1986, I believe. I think it was 1986 World Series. The World Series. The ball goes through Bill flippin' Buckner's legs. And if you've been following along, he said the ground ball goes through your legs. He predicted the exact thing that would happen. He said that would happen. And if there's anything I want you to take from this, the big thing I want you to take from this, the only thing I want you to take from this is you can predict, you can incant yourself, hypnotize yourself, and believe in good things and bad things. Do not say things about yourself that are not true, that you don't want to be true. Do not say things about yourself or situations that you don't want to happen. This will kill your momentum because when you were in that car and you could have a tough day, maybe you made bad food choices, maybe you had a bad relationship choice, maybe you did something. You're going to say things to yourself and say that you're a quitter, you're a loser. It's just like before. And I'm telling you this, it's going to affect the way that you show up. They have done brain scans that show that when people are saying negative things to itself, how it affects their biology, how it affects their psychology, how it changes your voice before you go to that meeting and you're asking for more money. Watch what you're saying to yourself. Those negative things are bringing your energy down and is making sure those things are happening. I'm not being philosophical, but I'm just saying that's not a coincidence that this happened. It's not. But watch what you're saying to yourself. Number 6, This one to get some people. People are focused on their own self-interest first. First. Some people might call this being selfish, but it is nature. This is nature. Getting upset because people don't believe in what you're wanting them to do or what you're doing, and they're just getting upset. I'm telling you now, they're going to be concerned about their own nature first. And I said self-interest and not selfish for a very particular reason. Because number one, it's not selfish. It's not. It's survival, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. And we could argue this, debate this, but it's built into us, right? Like we, and when I say it's in nature, like what do you see right here? An apple, right? This apple is delicious. It's sweet, and like arguably, it's one of my favorite fruits. My son loves them. We love apples. But do you think that that apple tree grew that apple for us to love it? For us to say it's the best thing ever? Hell no. It's the apple's growing because that's what it needs to do. It's self-motivated. It's self-interested. We just happen to like the taste of it. That's in nature. I'm not saying this to hurt people, but I'm just an awakening. Don't expect people to buy into things that you're doing. Don't be surprised if they don't. They're self-interested first. So sometimes they're not going to believe or understand some things that you have going on. Just know that. It gets into your momentum because sometimes you might think that these people don't support you. They're just focused on survival. There's nothing wrong with that. We all do it, and it's in nature. It's built into us. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But I'm just trying to throw that out there to you for you to have a different perspective. And round and third base. This one's a little secret. This one is, I'm kind of shy about sharing this. This has been one of my big game changers that made my life so much easier once I really embraced this. And why I wanted to share this with you all. Kind of top secret because it's a big deal. But number 7 is not tracking your results. And what do I mean by tracking results? The Hawthorne effect. And before I get into that, there's the oral law. It's about what we're saying, what we're doing. But I always encourage people to write things down. The written law is powerful. Make sure that you get things done. Yeah, I believe you're over 40% more likely to achieve whatever it is you're after when you're writing it down. But the story I want to share with you is called it's the Hawthorne effect, and where this came into play. You see, back in the 20s and 30s, they had factories, obviously, but they had these, this big set of factories. I'm gonna kind of butcher the story, but you're gonna get the gist of it. So bear with me. And they were wanting to get the efficiency up on this. They wanted to get it more productive. They wanted to move it ahead faster. And just make sure all the plants are operating on 100%. Well, they were looking at the efficiency of things, and so they're sending guys out there, and they're doing surveys, and they're just trying to figure out, man, how can we get the efficiency up? So while they were there, they noticed one factory was doing really well. It just started off, so all the guys run over to that place. And then they go there, and the efficiency's just going through the roof. It's just going through the roof. And they're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And they're like, oh, they love it, they're loving it. So they took up the data, and they went to the next factory, and they're like, oh gosh, let's take these changes and go over to the next one. So when they left that original facility, the efficiency started dropping. And the one that they were at, the efficiency started going up. And they're like, well, what happened? So they went to another factory. Same exact thing happened. Once they left, the efficiency went down, and the one they were at went up. And the Hawthorne effect was created. It's when you start becoming more aware of things, and you start tracking things, and you start writing things down, it is the game changer. Because you start becoming more aware of it. So one of my big secrets is tracking all of my results. It's tracking every single thing. I keep everything inside my weekly roadmap. I've got my focus, and I'm a big health advocate, and I've made sure I've got my food journal, got my roadmap recap. I also have my habits in here. This has been one of my top secrets that I've been using to keep me on track. My first 10 tracker has literally been one of the biggest game changers for me. And it's not just because it's pretty and colorful. No, but it holds me to a certain level of accountability every single day. I take 10 minutes. You can literally do this at a stoplight. Literally 10 minutes to write down the things that matter to me. In this particular case, I'm writing down my foods. I'm looking at my habits so I can make those changes. So I can make sure and hold myself accountable so I don't fall off. One of the things that kills momentum is you're not knowing what direction you're going. How fast are you getting there? Where could you make the biggest change in the previous weeks? When I lose my tracker, when I use my tracker, I can literally go back and say, this has been the best plan for me. And guess what? Once you're writing it down and you find out exactly what that sweet formula is that works for you, specifically for you, you can go back, do it again, duplicate it over and over and over and over and over. It works in health, it works in business, it works in relationships, it works in so many different areas of your life. But my tracker has been hands down the biggest game changer. And that's why it's kind of like the big secret. I wanted to release it here first because one, I care about you guys, but two, it's important for you all to go into this new year excited that you're going to get ahead of things, excited that you are going to have your hero moment. Your hero moment is everything. And I don't want you to miss out on your hero moment. And you all know I love Spider-Man. If you don't know, now you know. But those hero moments are everything. And this tracker has ensured that you will, and I will have my hero moment. And I'm offering this to you all. And just let me know in the comments if you want the tracker. I'm going to be giving this, giving this to you free of charge. But if you want to know, leave a comment right down below, and I'd be happy to send you one to make life easier for you. Because these are the top 7 momentum killers that I've seen out there. Yes, there are a few more. But thankfully with the tracker, it's been able to take care of almost all of those things because I'm aware of where my vision is. I'm aware of where I want to take things. I'm aware of my actions that I'm taking. I'm aware of the fact that I need to be very mindful of the people and relationships that I have in my life. But these momentum killers are easily navigatable. You can get around these things. All right, you can get around these things very easily, especially with the right focus, the right vision, and I just want to help. But guys, thank you all again for taking the time to watch this. I hope everyone's doing fantastic. If you got any questions, email me at vernon@whatsyourhappy.com, and I'm going to see you all next time. 7 Momentum Killers is coming to a wrap. Peace.